What up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Moedotj, and we are locked in. Now, this is Hip Hop Uncovered Part 4, and each episode, it just keeps getting better and better. But before we get into all that, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you want to be a part of this, hit your subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Oh yeah, hit that like button. It's 2021. But this is part 4 of Hip Hop Uncovered, and it's just taking us from another step of, we got rolling, and now we're kind of in the mid 90s. So now we're going to take it from the mid 90s and we're going to expand on that a little bit. And then it's going to lead us into 5 and 6, where we're almost into current rap now. But you know me, I'm not going to hold you up. Let's jump into it. This is Hip Hop Uncovered Part 4. We know Bimmy had ended up going to jail, but he had a $2 million bail that Bobby Brown and Whitney actually helped pay for it for him. But he said once he went to jail, he had a talk with God and said, hey, if you can get me out of this, I won't sell any more drugs. At least let me make half of what I'm making in the streets. If I can make that in the music industry, I'm good. So for Bimmy, it was, hey, man, I can't be doing this jail. I got to get my life right. And music is an opportunity for me. But there are codes in the streets that you have to live by. And one of them was, whenever your mans get out of jail, you're supposed to give him some cash, make sure he's straight, give him a car or something when he get out. So he's on his feet, already back in the game and not behind. And he goes into a little story where he said Anthony Mason, once Bimmy got out of jail, he actually gave him 50,000 cash. Like, he make sure you good. And the reason most of these people are ending up in jail is because they're doing what they have to do to survive, whether it's stealing, moving work, but they're doing all this stuff because they're trying to survive. Now, they go into an explanation about how you'll start selling dope by 20, you'll make 10 million by the age of 30, by the age of 32, you're either dead or in jail. But that's how the system was set up, especially with all these crack laws. It was just shutting down all of the black community. They couldn't do anything. And of course, we've seen more and more people go into jail. You have Moedotj and Dr. Dre talking about how there's nothing that we can look up to. Within the neighborhood, there's nobody that's a doctor. No one's a lawyer. It's either all we see on TV is successful black people as basketball athletes. You got Michael Jordan, or like Moedotj said, Pablo Escobar, Scarface, what we see on TV. That's the only success that they were seeing. All of that started to lead into the industrial prison system. This is pretty much a bill that they put in place that, will start giving money to prisons, made them start building prisons. And this, of course, encouraged, judges and all the police officers to, start filling up those jails. We can start getting some extra money. And what do? They filled it up with people of color, mainly my brothers. Along with that code, everybody's living it. Corrupt, he's making sure Big U's family is straight while Big U's locked down. We know Big U got a big bid that he got to go do. So while he's sitting down, Corrupt is still making sure that his family's straight, because Corrupt is paying back that loyalty to when Big U was looking out for him when he was out and making sure that he was straight. While Big U's locked up, he's coming up with a plan on how he's going to get out of here. So for him, he actually met Harry O while he was in prison. And Harry O started giving him, books to read this book. And for Big U, he just looked at it like, okay, this man, he's doing this thing. He was successful on the outside. Okay, how's he getting through all this? And he just noticed that he was reading books. So Big U said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get in this music game and I'm going to get out of here. I'm not coming back to prison. Also with Harry O, he's actually the person that gave Suge Knight the money to start Death Row. So he was behind scenes actually doing all the money and actually funding all of this stuff. We know what Death Row brought. Death Row brought the streets with it. And once Death Row made gangster rap go mainstream, it brought the streets along with it. And now you got gangs, gang members, gang banging all on TV. You got this on actual TV now because Death Row, all that street stuff, it just got mixed up into it. That money, drug money, and pushed it mainstream. The streets is right there with it. And it was a whole new era. Dr. Dre explains that there was about 23 people that died, all that was affiliated with Death Row in that 4 years that he was signed there. So that's just showing you that if there wasn't no Death Row or there wasn't any Bad Boy, there wouldn't have been any of this, East versus West. There wouldn't have been none of this gangster stuff within music. But hey, man, that was one of the things that started it all right there. Now we're about to dive into how the East Coast versus West Coast actually jumped off. Now, Big Jake got killed. Big Jake was known around. Everybody pretty much knew him in LA. So he was a well-known person. But his death is one of the deaths that brought street stuff into music. Because if it wasn't any hip hop, this murder wouldn't have went down. All of this started because Jermaine Dupri had a little birthday party and he invited Diddy and he invited Suge Knight. He said once they got there, it was all right on the inside, but they always felt like there was some tension between, Diddy and Suge. But he said once they left the party, things just got totally different. Like he don't know how it went this way or what made it go left, but it definitely did. Well, whatever happened went on outside, and Diddy had hired security with some Southside Crips, and we know that Suge and them rolling with the Bloods, and one of the Southside Crips actually shot Big Jake, and that's where this little beef went on, because if you got Crips, even if they're doing security, they shot at a Blood and killed one, so the gang stuff is more important than the music stuff, and that's what stems the Bad Boy versus Death Row. And that just shows how the Bloods and the Crips, their little beef just spilled over to the Death Row member who got jumped at the mall and got his Death Row chain took. They went to Vegas with it. Tupac and them, they seen Baby Lane. They went and jumped him. And unfortunately, it ended for Tupac by getting shot later on that night. Retaliation is a must when it comes to these gangs, man. And that's the thing about it, man. That gang banging is, man, it's going to end up bad for you most of the time. Even though all of this happened and Haitian Jack and Tupac had their differences, Haitian Jack still felt sorry because he was looking at it as Tupac was like a little brother to him. He was still trying to help Tupac. Now, we know that they may have had their little disagreements. We don't know the whole story about that, but he sounds genuine, and he's saying even though Tupac may have been a knucklehead on one end, on the other end, he had a huge heart and he was very caring for the kids. So for Haitian Jack, seeing all those kids out there crying outside the hospital, it sucked because he knew how much Tupac meant and what Tupac really cared about, with all the kids. Now for Haitian Jack, a low blow was when Tupac passed, he had his other album come out. And in this song, he labeled Haitian Jack as a rat. Now everyone's saying, Haitian Jack, he's certified, he's stamped in the street. One thing about Haitian Jack, he's not gonna snitch on anybody. So Tupac was one of the first people to bring street stuff and put it on an actual nationally distributed album and label somebody that's certified in the streets as a snitch. And so for Haitian Jack, you know how that is. Someone calls you out, hey, you gotta make your name clear. But unfortunately, Tupac wasn't around at this moment. And Haitian Jack said he wouldn't have said that if he was alive. But what Haitian Jack counters that with is, he knows Tupac wouldn't say this. He said Suge Knight was pretty much telling him, hey, say this, because Suge Knight is a capitalist. And what he means by that is, Suge knows any attention that's going to get drawn to this music is just going to make more and more money. So it's just like anything else. You got to draw big attention to it, and then it's going to sell just off the hype. But, we all knew Tupac could rap, but that's what Haitian Jack is saying. This was all coming from Suge, not from Pac. Haitian Jack never planned on getting into music, but the Tupac incident had happened and all the Haitians knew who he was. So his name's already been ringing in the streets, and he knew Pras. He met Pras, and then Pras introduced him to Wyclef. And this is when the Refugees had the song Killing Me Softly going on, which would only lead up to, hey, we want a strong Haitian behind us. And like I said, everyone knew who Haitian Jack was and his name rung bells. So they made him the manager. Now he said, man, I started to see there's a lot of money in this hip hop. They were selling out the Mount High Stadium. They were overseas in Switzerland. And at this point, Haitian Jack was, oh yeah, this music stuff, this is what I'm gonna stay in right here. I'm managing the Refugees, oh, why not? Bimmy gets released into a halfway house, and when you're in there, it's either you're going back to jail or you need to prove that you're working. So Bimmy knew a producer, and this producer, he worked with J-Lo, Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, so he's well established. Now he's asking Bimmy, why would you want to work here where you have all kinds of opportunity on the outside? Bimmy says, look, I'm not here for no money. I just got to turn a check in to show that I'm working. But instead of working for some street dudes and doing some producing, I want to get inside of a company where I can learn things and I can grow from there. So that's how Bimmy actually got in, working up under Chris. For Bimmy, hey, music is the route I'm going. Now, he got an offer to get signed over at Sony Records. But what he did was he took his leverage and he went over to Russell Simmons like, hey, Sony's about to give me this kind of money and I feel like I'm an asset. So what you trying to do? He gets signed to Def Jam. So he gets signed to the label that he wanted to get signed to. And from here on out, hey, it's just working. It's either I'm in my office or I'm at the studio or I'm on the road traveling. He said, man, one day he sat in his office. He looked around, there wasn't no plaques up, but it was the best feeling for him because he knew, hey, This is what I'm about to get to. He did say he ran into Supreme a couple of times, and it's no bad blood between them. It's just he wasn't with the street stuff, so they didn't have too much to talk about. To see each other, hey, what's up, and then they go on their separate ways. But he still had that loyalty to him. He felt like Supreme was like that fatherly figure for him that was looking out for him the whole time he was growing up. So, it's still love between the two. Let's head back up to Detroit. We got Trick up there, and he's talking about, man, music is starting to change. You're hearing the tempo change, and people actually starting to rap their own way. So he's like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? That's what I want to do. Now, before he got locked up, he got to go and travel down to ATL. And y'all know what used to go on in the 90s. That Freak Nick, you know what I'm saying? The real deal. And for him, oh yeah, it was a changing experience for him. So he's down at Freak Nick, and you seeing all the girls out there twerking. You got 2 Live Crew. You got everybody out there. I'm talking about shake what your mama gave you. Whoop, there it is. So for Trick, he said, man, I seen all that. I got locked up. When I came out, I said, you know what? I'm going to make me a song. And what does he do? Shake that booty, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it. So he comes up with a dance song too. And some of his boys who actually became his DJ later on started taking the song and playing it in all the strip clubs. And once you get in the strip club, you are certified because everybody gonna make it rain and them girls gonna be dancing to you. Now we got Miss Deb down in Atlanta. She's starting fresh. She still has a little bit of connection. She got Bimmy up in New York and stuff. She, she knew a few people down in the South, but she's starting to do charity work, and she's just working and helping the kids out. Now, this is an interesting part of the story. If you see Ludacris here in the blue, Chris Lover used to work on a radio station. So they used to come down to her little boys and girl club center type community centers and entertain the kids because they were on the radio. And that's what Ludacris's target area was, the kids, and they get the radio station. So that's interesting to know that. That's how Ludacris and Deb cross paths. Back up in Detroit, we got the Goon Squad that Trick put together. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of Goon Squad. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's in the Goon Squad if you rolling with Trick and you really about that action. But he also named his first album Goon Squad, which was featuring his boy Proof. Now, R.I.P. to Proof. Proof was with Trick before all of this started. And Proof used to just be rapping, man. For real. Now we insert Eminem. Eminem was coming around. There was a place that they used to always go and people would freestyle and rap and stuff. Now Eminem would go up there, Slim Shady rapping all that stuff, and okay, Proof would be up there and he would hear about him. Now Trick heard about him also, and he was like, oh, okay, he's white. Yeah, we're gonna link up and make some music. Turned out like a week later, he's in LA with Dr. Dre recording, and they like, dang, okay, this dude, what is him and Dr. Dre gonna put together? Before Eminem actually went out to LA, him and Trick they ran into each other and they talked, and they was like, oh, okay, I heard some of that. I want to work with you. And like I said, Trick was waiting on that, but a week later he looked and he's like, Eminem's with Dr. Dre in LA? What could they come out with? And then they came out with the Slim Shady, and Trick knew. He had said, man, you could tell he knew that it was gonna be something special with Eminem once he got with Dr. Dre, because he didn't know what to expect at first. And Slim Shady came out straight to the top. Then they were looking for Proof, and they like, oh, Proof's out there in LA with Eminem. And then he said he seen him on TV. And Trick was like, oh, my boy Proof is on TV, because it's always good to see somebody you grew up with, one of your boys, actually make it. So Trick was too happy, you know what I'm saying? I would be too if my boy made it on TV. Bimmy's making some noise. He working with Slick Rick, you know what I'm saying? People are hearing him do some albums. Like, okay, Bimmy good. So he ran into LL Cool J, and you can see him right here at the little awards show. He run into him, and LL's like, oh, hey, I want you to work on my album. Hey, meet me at this address. Bimmy said he went to the address. It was a grandma's spot. Hey, and from that moment, they started working together. Like, why not? Why not make this happen? People know Bimmy, especially LL Cool J. He was growing around those times, Supreme and them, so he knew who Bimmy was, and Bimmy knew L could rap, so let's get it. And it turns out Bimmy is the one that actually came up with LL Cool J's album, The GOAT, the greatest of all time. Bimmy was the one that said, yeah, let's name it The GOAT, the greatest of all time. LL used to spit back in the day, I ain't gonna lie to you. Haitian Jack's in Atlanta, and his boy Jimmy comes up to him with a song, and Haitian listens to it, and he's like, "Hey, wait, who is this singing?" And Jimmy's like, "That's me." And Haitian Jack said, "Man, I ain't know you can sing, you know." So he's looking at it like, "Oh man, this is what we need to do. I need to sign you." So what he does is he ends up signing Jimmy to a production deal, because now Haitian Jack is starting to know the business a little bit more than what he did when he originally got in, when he was with the refugees. Things are they're starting to go real good, rolling for Haitian Jack. He's reaching the top. Of course, he's with Waka Flocka. He got Wyclef Jean. So, you know, he got a lot of money coming in. But for him, he's trying to explain how the transition is. He's making a couple $100,000 every week. But he's thinking back, when I was robbing dope boys and drug dealers, I could make $1 million in one hit. So for him, that was one thing about actually leaving the game fully. And a lot of people, they said, they had the same like, it's kind of hard for me to step away from the game and get just this legit money because of how much money they were making illegally. Unfortunately for Haitian Jack, him being on the run, you remember he left New York 1990, came down to Atlanta. He'd been on the run up until 2004. He eventually gets caught and deported. 14 years on the run. Hey, I say he lived it up in that 14 years, so was it worth it? He was going to get deported anyway. Why not? Haitian Jack got deported. He was in Haiti, but he said he only stayed there for about 5 or 6 months. Then he went over to the other side of the island, over into the DR. And he was just explaining, there's no place that's perfect on earth, but the DR, it's probably as close as you're going to get. I still need to go down there and visit. Trick gives us a story about him getting locked up for firing a weapon and homicide. So he said he was chilling at the house one day and he gets a call talking about, "Hey, somebody's shooting up at the house over here." He gets over there, but it really just turned out to some young kids. They had got into it and then some adults got into it. So as he's leaving, he starts hearing some shots. So of course, naturally, he's driving off. And he said he had a feeling. He had a feeling dark clouds were coming in too. 2 days later, they locked him up. They locked him up for firing a weapon and homicide. So for Trick, he's like, "Man, what? And y'all want me to say something?" First of all, I'm not no snitch, but these eyes, they ain't see nothing. He ain't had nothing to do with it. Now we going into stories. Ice-T said he got several partners that are in jail over 30 years that ain't killed nobody, non-violent offenders, but they just in there, and that's the way the system is. Now Eminem goes to proof and says, "Hey, I heard Trick got a bail. Should I get it?" Proof is loyal, so he said, "Hell yeah, get it." So that's how Trick ended up getting out of jail. Eminem put the money up for him to get him out of jail for some bogus charge. When you're doing time, when you're facing time, the thing that's popping up on your mind the most is your kids. So for Big U, he does eventually get out, but he's changed his mindset. We know he's been in there reading, he's been in there studying. He's just trying to get everything right. So when he gets out, he ain't coming back in here. He's going legit. Now, even Uncle Snoop said when he got out, he was a little bit different. He was institutionalized and he was just getting adjusted. Because, you've been locked up, you've been fighting, you've been doing all this. It's going to take you a while to go back to normal. Now, for Bimmy, things are starting to stir up because he's over at Def Jam and he's got Foxy Brown. He's doing hits with her. He's doing hits with everybody. He meets Dub C. Now, there's a lady named Tina Davis. She was above him over at Def Jam, and she didn't want Bimmy working with Dub C because she didn't want him around all the stuff that Bimmy was around, and was like, "Nah, he can't work with you. We don't want him to turn out like any of your other artists." But all of his other artists were doing good, so it wouldn't have been a bad thing to have Dub C have Bimmy on his album. When it all boils down to it, they didn't want Bimmy on Dub C's album. He said Kevin Liles eventually called him, was like, "Hey, we can't have you doing this and doing this. You should start working from home." And what that means is work from home, aka you're fired. So Bimmy actually got fired from Def Jam. Bimmy kind of takes the fault for it, and everyone starts explaining how the politics are in the industry. So on the streets, when someone gives you their word, that's their word because they're playing with their life. Now in the music industry, it's not that way. If someone says something, they'll just go behind your back, stab you, because at the end of the day, they're looking out for themselves and trying to make some money. So that loyalty and all that street stuff, he didn't see that at that time, that it didn't translate over into the business aspects of the politics behind the music industry. With all that being said, Bimmy's trying to tell you, in the street code, if I got a problem with you, then you gonna know about it. the politics and the music business, if I got a problem with you, I ain't gonna say nothing about it. I'm just gonna go behind your back and screw you over. So beware. Anyone getting into the music industry, beware. All right, there you go. That's Hip Hop Uncovered Part 4. That only leads me to ask you one question. Who would you want to be up under when you're trying to come up? You know what I'm saying? I got an idea who I would be, but let me know who you think. Hey, thanks for watching. I'm Moedotj. Be here next week for Hip Hop Uncovered Part 5 and 6. I'm Moedotj. Hit that subscribe button if you like the content. Definitely hit that like button. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.